Alright guys, so in this video we are going to cover how to simplify radicals. For this unit, it is very, very fast. This is day 1, day 2 is next class, and then the class after that, so in 2 classes, is your quiz. So luckily for you, 99% of this is going to be in Desmo, so we don't have to work too hard. So first thing we're going to do, first of all, fold your notes. You know how to make the 2 doors. We're going to start on the simplifying cube roots side. Remember, cube root means that little 3. So there is a very long way you can do this by hand, but like I said, I'm going to show you Desmos. So when you're in Desmos, the first thing you want to do is make a table. To do that, you are just going to spell the word table. All right, T-A-B-L-E, table. We need to change our headings up at the top. This one on the left is always going to be X. On the right, it is going to be a fraction. On top will be your number that is inside. So for this example, my number inside is 24. And then on the bottom is always going to be X raised to some power. So since this is a cube root, this is going to be X to the 3rd. Okay. Once you have that, you're just going to go over to this X column, hit 1, enter, 2, enter, and it should start to autofill all of your columns for you. So you can just hit enter and it fills it out. I want you to go to 20. Okay, so hit enter a bunch of times until you get down to 20. And once we're looking at this, we don't want decimals. You know, I think decimals are disgusting and the worst. So I want you to find the last row with no decimal. So in this case, it is this 2 and 3 right here. And I have this copied onto your notes. When you're looking at this table, we're going to take this right here was the last one with no decimal. So this side goes outside, this side goes inside. So you have 2 cube root. Since this had the little 3, this needs to have the 3. And then on the inside is 3. And that is it. Let's do this next one, 48. Do not delete your Desmos. My advice is just delete the number on top. Okay? Delete this 24 so we can move on to our next example, which was 48. And then we look in here. Where is my last row with no decimals? Well, right there, 2 and 6. So my answer, 2 on the outside, cube root, 6. And that is it. All right, go ahead, pause the video here to use Desmos to do questions 1 through 4. We're going to pause at number 5. All right, welcome back. These are hopefully the answers that you got. One of the questions that I want to talk about is number 3. So if we look right here, if you ever have a 1, okay, so if we have a 1 on the inside, the cube root of 1 just equals 1. So this is really 3 times 1, which is just 3. So if you have a 1 on the inside, you do not have to write it, because this whole thing right here is the same thing as 1. All right, for number 5, this is actually an old SOL question. So my advice would be to try out all of these answer choices, is to simplify all of these in Desmos to see which one is going to match for cube root of 2. So go ahead, pause the video right here to go ahead and test out those answers. All right, hopefully you were able to quickly simplify all of these answer choices in Desmos. So if you go ahead and look at these, we want the one that matches 4 on the outside, 2 on the inside, and we can see that that is going to be answer choice C. All right. So the next half of today's lesson is going to be about square roots. So square roots are the exact same idea, except square roots, as you can see, there is no number here because we use this so often. Writing the 2 would be annoying, so we just don't do it. The biggest change is in your table in Desmos. For a cube root, remember this was x to the 3rd. For a square root, it's going to be x to the 2. Okay, so your table is going to be made the same way. So let's just look at our picture. The last row with no decimal is this 2 root 6. So on the outside we have 2, and inside square root of 6. And that's all there is to it for the numbers. The letters is where it gets a little difficult. And I'm actually going to go ahead and change this question just a little bit. I'm going to add some stuff to it. Let's make this a y to the 4 and then a z. So take a second to adjust this question. So when we look at this, we are going to take out all of our variables and rewrite them down here. X to the 5 tells me that I have 5 x's. Y to the 4 tells me that I have 4 y's. And then I have just one lonely z. Okay. Because we are dealing with a square root, we want to make groups of 2. So I'm going to circle one group of 2, 2 groups of 2. Write that off to the side. This one's all lonely. We'll deal with him in a minute. My y's, 1 group, 2 groups. And my z, I can't do anything. It's all by itself. So the way that this one works, it's a little different. On the outside is going to be your groups. So for x, I made 2 groups. So I have an x2 on the outside. For my y's, I made 2 groups. Any letter without a group, any letter that is lonely, so this x and this z, need to go back inside. All right? You're making groups of 2, and anything without a group has to go back inside. All right, go ahead, open on up, and we're going to work on the last 4 questions. All right, I want to make some adjustments to these questions before you move on. So make these changes on your paper, please. We'll make this a y to the 6, z to the 5. Over here, same thing. Y, z, 7. Okay. Go ahead, work on numbers 1 and 2. My advice for number 3, think of it as 2 separate questions that you know how to solve. You know how to simplify this. You know how to simplify this. So work on them as 2 pieces and then bring them back together. So go ahead, pause the video, and work on these 3 questions. All right, so let's come back together. Go ahead, take a look at numbers 1 and 2. Hopefully that is what you got. For number 3, this is what I was talking about when I said split it up. Square root of 28 simplifies to 2 root 7. All of these letters, X, Y, and Z, are going to simplify nicely to this. The last step is we have to bring these together. So we're going to take what was on the outside, so my 2, my X6, and my Z3 go on the outside, and then what was on the inside is going to go together, 7, Y, Z. So I think if you kind of look at it as 2 different problems, you can bring it together at the end. All right, the last question type that you are going to see is wanting to know if something is in simplest form. And this is a question you will see on the SOL. So there are 2 questions you want to ask yourself. Can we make groups? And can we rewrite? So can we make groups? If you have an exponent bigger than 1, so 2, 3, 10, 15, 1,000, those are all bigger than 1, and you could make groups of 2. So let's see if we can rule any out from that. So let's look right here. X to the 5th. 5 is bigger than 1, so I could make groups. So this is not simplified. I do not want this question. Let's look here. I only have 1x. I can't make a group with that, so we might be good. These don't have x's. And then over here, we have x's, but it's one lonely x, so we can't make any groups. So we looked at this question. The next thing is we want to know is, can we rewrite? So let's look right here at the 2x. So go to your Desmos. Remember, don't delete your table. Just keep clearing out the top part. We're going to put in 2. I cannot rewrite the 2. Everything has a gross decimal except for this first one, which would keep 2 on the inside. Okay, so I cannot rewrite it. I cannot make groups, so it is simplified. Let's look at 35. Delete your 2. Let's look at 35. Is there anything without decimals? Nope. I can't rewrite it, and I cannot make groups. So we're nice. That's simplified. I like it. 18. Uh-oh. I see something without a decimal. I can rewrite it. That becomes 3 root 2. Not simplified. All right, last 2. I have a 12 on the inside. Let's see if we can rewrite that one. Yep, can rewrite that one. I have no decimals right here at 2 and 3. That would become 2 root 3. I don't like that. And then our last one is 57. Let's check. And wow, decimal central. Can't rewrite it, so it is simplified. So our 3 answers are these 3 radicals right here. Okay, we want the answer to both of these questions to be a no. All right, so that is it for your notes. Go ahead, glue this into your notebook. The substitute has a quick little worksheet for you to do. You can knock it out in less than 10 minutes. And then after that, I want you to work on your next Go formative. All right, which is Unit 6 radicals. We will do a little bit of this next class, but remember, we only have this class, next class, and then a quiz. All right, see you next week.